This is the Trusted Referral Network. We're a network of right now about 20 members who get together on a semi-monthly basis on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. Earlier on the second Tuesday, that's today at 11 a.m. And then on the fourth Tuesday, we do it at 5 p.m. We are all marketing services providers. Most of us have a niche and see opportunities with our clients for other services that they might need or might request that enable us to reach out to people in the network and elsewhere, of course, to collaborate, subcontract, whatever seems like the right model for you. People do pay referral fees, but not everyone. It's not mandatory. We call it the Trusted Referral Network. Doesn't necessarily mean that referral fees are required, but we do, if you remember, you can see what the standard referral fees are for people who are members of the group on the website. The meetings are open to members and guests. We try to bring in guests who might be interested in joining. And if you join, you have a 3-month trial, after which it's $360 a year. So it's less than $1 a day, as they say. And I think it's in many respects different and better than a lot of other networking groups for marketers, of course, because everybody in the group has a base knowledge of marketing, regardless of which area you specialize in, so they can understand what you're talking about when you use buzzwords like, SEO or SEM or, PPC. And if not, you could certainly ask. It's an open, there are no stupid questions here. So our format is we usually have a showcase presenter, sometimes a member. Today, Rachel Rozen, who I believe was introduced by Rajiv, is an expert in networking. So it's obviously relevant to what we are doing here today. And she is going to give us about a 15-minute showcase on what she does and some tips on networking. So I'm going to put on a timer. Because we only have 8 of us today, it's going to be there's going to be a little more time to ask questions. So I won't be as strict, so to speak, but I will put on a timer for 15 minutes. And if everybody could go on mute, I'm also going to move it to speaker mode so that when Rachel speaks, she takes up the entire screen. All right. Rachel, feel free, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Michael. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do my best to get through this all in 15 minutes, and feel free to cut me off if we need to. Not a problem at all. But the way that I like to communicate is through stories. So you're going to hear a bunch of stories as we're going through this. And let me just make sure I got you guys up on my screen.
We see it.
Okay, great. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have been in hospitality for the majority of my career and spent so much time working. 95% of my time was working. I didn't spend any time outside of my day-to-day knowing my clients or knowing the people that I worked with. I went from working in hospitality, hotels and restaurants, and then into hospitality tech, where I became a chief customer officer. So these are a couple of pictures of me when I was nominated for Manager of the Year at a Hyatt. And my last day, if you're familiar in New York City with ABC Kitchen, I was a GM of ABC Kitchen, Costina NV, and PPX stands for VIP in restaurant lingo. So I was the VIP of the day. And I loved working, but I spent so much time doing that, I never focused on anything else outside of that. And I realized that part of the way that I was experiencing in my day-to-day was really around my smile. And that drew people in, especially from a hospitality standpoint. And it took me years to get to the smile that I had. And when I was a kid, I didn't smile for the first 13 years of my life. When I was 3 years old, we had a stone fireplace in my basement. Now I'm an 80s kid, so our house was fully carpeted, and I used to run around with socks on. And one day, I decided I was going to run down the stairs into the basement. Where did I land? Smack on my face on the stone fireplace ledge. I split my lip open and I had one black and one brown tooth. So you can kind of see it in these pictures, but I wouldn't smile. I didn't want anyone to see my face. And in first grade, my teacher was determined to get me to smile. And she said, Rachel, I'm making a pact with you. If you lose your tooth, you have to smile for me. I said, sure, I'll do that. So the last day of first grade, I lost that black tooth and I smiled for her. Well, that was the last time I smiled for a long time after. Second grade, I had to get a retainer because my jaw was too small. And third grade, I had lost more baby teeth. So I had gotten braces. And then when I was 13, my dentist, who was a friend of the family, was invited to my bat mitzvah. And he said, Rachel, what do you want for your bat mitzvah? I said, the only thing I want is my braces off. I knew my mom was going to make me smile, and I was not smiling with my braces on. And the only way that I was going to get my photograph and the videographer being there is if I got my braces off. So for my bat mitzvah, my braces came off, and I'm not sure why the photo's not showing. But I had a giant smile on my face, and I apologize that the photo's not there, for my bat mitzvah, and realizing how important it is to smile. And that really is the beginning of building a relationship with someone. So we're sitting here right now. Some of you are smiling, some of you aren't. But it makes such a difference because once you start smiling, your eyes light up and people are excited to meet you. And that's something that really shows your authenticity when you are networking. Well, when I left my last full-time role, I realized my network wasn't very wide or very deep, and I needed to start from scratch. And after having a 20+ year career in hospitality, I didn't want to continue doing that, but I wasn't sure where I wanted to go from there. I ended up meeting 300 people in one-on-one conversations and realizing that there was a skill set around networking that a lot of people don't have. You might join a networking group, you might participate in different things, you go to conferences, but what are you truly getting out of that? And how are you building those relationships? And that's when I built Connection Catalyst, which is the business that I run, teaching networking skills to professionals. So it gives people the opportunity to build a skill set and a habit around networking. The same way that you go to a gym and you want to do push-ups, you got to start one push-up at a time. It's the same way with networking. You have to continue to build and build upon it. So one of the frameworks that I really worked towards when I started networking and that I teach people on is called the 3 I's: an introduction, an invitation, and information. And you're probably asking me, well, when do I do this? Well, you often hear in networking about the give to get, and people are really scared about what to ask, but even more so, they're scared on what to give because they think they're not enough. They think they don't have anything that's valuable to somebody else. And that's where this framework comes in. So I mentioned to you when I was a little kid, I had that black tooth and I was super shy. I didn't want anybody to look at me. I was a first child. I was attached to my mom's hip. And when I first went to preschool, I met my first friend, Nina. She came up to me while I was still attached to my mom's leg and she said, "Hi, I'm Nina. Do you want to be friends?" Well, at 3 years old, that sounds super simple, but as adults, we never do that. We never introduce ourselves in a way that's going to get somebody to get us to acknowledge them and to continue that conversation. But it's so important to make those introductions with people, just let them know who you are. And even just from an introduction, I had met Rajiv actually through somebody else who introduced me to Rajiv. Rajiv then said, "You got to meet Michael." And so then I met Michael, and now here I am now. And it was all because of one introduction that I met somebody that it became this cycle of things. And so you never know who you're going to meet and how that person is then going to affect you or be able to help guide you in some way or another. And now I'm meeting all of you because, again, of an introduction 2 times ago. The second I is information. And For information, this one is actually a really great story that I like to share. So when I turned 30, I decided to go to Japan for my 30th birthday. I went by myself, and I was working for Hyatt at the time. We had free hotel rooms and we could go anywhere in the world. And I was like, I'm going to Japan. I really want to do this. I was living in Seattle, so it was like the closest place, but far enough to go since I was on the West Coast. And I was waiting at the train platform to take the bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto. And this girl approached me, and she was super hungover. And this was before phones were like the iPhones were really good. And she came up to me and she said, "Hey, can I use your phone?" And I was like, I'm not sure, but I guess you can. And she spoke English. Most people obviously spoke Japanese in Japan, and she happened to be Australian. And then I let her use my phone, and we ended up talking for the entire trip from Tokyo to Kyoto. She was the same age as me. She had recently left her job. She became a freelancer in publishing. And we were talking, and I was really burnt out with the work that I was doing. And she said to me, "Rachel, you're not married to your job. You can do anything that you want to do." And that advice spurred me to come back from Japan and quit my job at Hyatt after being with Hyatt for 8 years. And I didn't know what I wanted to do next, but I knew I wanted to move to New York City. And I wanted to work at a chef-driven restaurant. So I quit my job, packed everything up, moved 3,000 miles across the country, and ended up getting a job at ABC Kitchen. Well, it wasn't so easy because nobody wanted to hire me because I didn't have New York restaurant experience. But my resume had Seattle on it, and the GM was from Seattle. And that affinity is what got me that opportunity to apply and get that job. And I ended up, I mentioned in the beginning, but I was a GM of ABC Kitchen Cocina MV, and this was me in People magazine presenting Padma Lakshmi her birthday cake. So that was the highlight of my time at ABC. But that little bit of information went such a long way. So when we're talking to people, it could be advice like the girl in Japan gave me. It could be a podcast. It could be an article. But think about how you might be able to change someone and give them information that could help them along their path when they have their ask. And the third I is an invitation. And invitations can be pretty much anything. When I was 12 years old, I wanted to be a cheerleader so badly. And I grew up in a town that didn't have it in public school. It was only for the Catholic Youth Organization, and I was Jewish, and there was no way I was going to make the squad. There was only 2 squads. There are 4 spots between 6th to 8th grade, but the Jewish Community Center didn't have a cheerleading squad, but they had a basketball team. So I created a cheerleading squad, and this is us on the left. And for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I was a cheerleader. And then in 9th grade, I tried out for football cheerleading at high school, and I wanted to be a cheerleader so badly. And when it came time for the list to get put up who made the squad, I went to the gym and I started looking down the list to see if I made the squad, and I was really good. Well, I didn't make the squad because I was overweight and they didn't have a uniform for me. And the juniors and seniors were really upset that I didn't make the squad, and there was nothing that they could do. So they ended up talking to the coach, and I ended up being my high school mascot for all 4 years. And that invitation changed the trajectory in my mindset because I never thought that that'd be something that I wanted to do. And when we think about an invitation, it could be as simple as, is the place that someone's in right now the right place that they could be? Could they be going somewhere else? Can you invite them to a webinar? Can you invite them to a podcast? Can you invite them to this network, for example? Is there a place that's going to make them better themselves in a way that they never thought before? It could even be just taking them for a cup of coffee. And all these things that we're talking about is really social capital. That's what we're building with each person that we meet, whether it's personal or professional. It's part of your network. And that social capital is what's going to help you throughout your career. But we have to make deposits in order to make withdrawals. So every time you come to this meeting, you're putting a deposit in with all the people that join. And so when it comes time when you need something, then you have the opportunity to withdraw because everyone is here. I'm going to tell you one more quick story and then I will end, and hopefully I can do this in 3 minutes. But this is a photo of my dad. My dad was a businessman and he went every day to the gas station to get a cup of coffee, his lottery tickets, and his newspapers. And that's where everybody in town hung out. Well, unfortunately, my dad passed away at 70. And he used to joke that he had no friends and nobody was showing up to his funeral. Well, being Jewish, we sat Shiva, which is 7 days of mourning after someone passes, and people were coming to our house all the time. And I learned more about my dad in those 7 days than the 70 years that he was alive. And this one story that I was told is about the gas station. It's one of those gas stations where they pump the gas for you. And I grew up in upstate New York where it's freezing cold. And this one winter, the gas station attendant, his hands were bright red and chapped, and the kind where it's crackly, not the kind where it's warm and fuzzy. And my dad asked him, "Hey, do you have any winter gloves?" And the guy said, "No." My dad hopped in his truck, went down to Lowe's, and came back with a pair of industrial winter gloves so the guy would have gloves for the rest of the winter. That was the type of person that my dad was. He was networking all the time. He was helping people out in ways that we never thought. And when it ended up being his funeral, he would have never thought what would happen, but it was standing room only. And so many people came out to support him because he spent so much of his life supporting other people. And my hope for others when it comes to networking is that you're like my dad and you're always building those relationships. And when it comes time for you to have your legacy, it's about how you treated other people and how you're able to help other people, because that's really what the essence of networking is and how important it is to build those relationships with people. Thank you. Um,
All right. Thank you. Do we have questions or comments? And I can switch it. Do you want to stop sharing and then
yeah, let me
we'll put
just
it back in gallery mode? Yeah.
sharing. There you go. Okay.
All right. Let's see. View gallery. Cool. Rochelle has a question
Awesome.
for
I
Lady
love
also.
what you
Okay.
said, thank you. But what's your tip on follow-up? I mean, I think we meet so many people in our day-to-day, and I think sometimes I mean I'm guilty of this. Sometimes my follow-up isn't what I'd like it to be. It could be a little stronger. So what's your tip on follow-up? How do we become more diligent in that regard?
Yeah, so a couple things that I recommend for people. Number one is allow yourself time on your calendar for the follow-up. So if you're doing a one-on-one conversation, most people just go to the next meeting after that. Give yourself a buffer so you can do that follow-up right away, so you don't forget to do it. That's tip number one. Tip number two is, say you already followed up, but how do you follow up again? Pre-write that email after you write the first follow-up email and say, write your other email and schedule the send for, let's say, a month later, so that you're continuing to follow up. And if anything happens between that time period, you can always edit that email. But that's a good reminder to do it. And then there's also a system, a tool called Dex, which I know quite a few people that have used. It's called DEX. I haven't done it myself yet, but a good friend of mine that does operations, and he's my tool guy. He's like, you have to do this. So it's on my list of things to do. But that's another great way. It helps give information on how you can follow up with people as well. It sits on top of LinkedIn and all your social as well. And I don't think it's that expensive. I think it's like $6 a month or something like that. And Michael also had a tool that he recommended to me that was around introductions, but also helps with the follow-ups after as well. Was that?
Yeah, yeah. It's called Bridge, BRDG .app. And I've been using it a lot. I mean, you can do 3 types of introductions. Sort of a fast introduction where you actually just make the intro. Another one is an opt-in. Another one is forward information, and you can create a template. And then it automatically follows up with both people to see how like 2 weeks later to see how it went. And also in the template, I put in, a little blurb about the Trusted Referral Network with a guest link. It's all about inviting people into this group and into my network more broadly. Burt, you had a question?
Yeah, just a comment. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Rachel, appreciate the openness and authenticity of your presentation. Not always an easy thing to do, but it was really spectacular. And the other comment I'll make is regarding your dad. He seems like the kind of guy that did a lot of stuff for people but never talked about it. And that's why, in the weirdest of ways, I said to my wife not that long ago, you'll see, I go, when the day comes and I'm not here, you're going to find out things about me that you never knew, because I'm similar. I don't talk about what I do, I just do it. And if you can, but that's an incredible parent to have, and I hope the best way that you can honor your father's memory is to just do what he did. And they say when you give more than you take, you get back more than you give. So congratulations to you, and thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bert. I appreciate that.
Yeah, all right. Two more questions. Keith, whoops. Something happened. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
He's on mute.
There we go.
Yeah, but I think my monitor just went down. I'm gonna go. I think it unplugged, so I'm gonna go down there and fix it.
All right.
Go ahead.
We see you. We see you. Hey, I'm just gonna get on Bert's bus and compliment you on, the authenticity, because in your presentation about networking, you conveyed your values through the stories you like to tell. And that's, as Burt said, that's not easy to do. And I think honoring your father's really a great element of your presentation, so don't drop it.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that.
All right, and Zev, last question or comment.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story. It was really, really great, and really, I think, drew me in, and I was very inspired. I think a common theme seems to be find creative ways to provide value to other people, which I think definitely comes from your father and his legacy, which is amazing. And yeah, just really thank you. And also, if anyone, as far as follow-ups, there's one, I don't know if this helps anyone, but I do know somebody who does, he's a VA. It's basically, they do something where they can send out, if you do a lot of one-on-ones with people and you want to follow up, they can kind of like do this sort of automated way on your behalf to, send the follow-up information or make introductions for other people in your network. So if that's of interest, I can refer you to that guy.
Neat. All right, Julie, last question.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. Thanks, Rachel. I really resonated with that. I'm part of a in-person networking group out here called Tribe House, and it's like building your tribe. And tribes were built by telling stories, and that's the vulnerability that connects us. And so you telling your story, now you're more memorable, and now we got a bigger insight into your soul. But the kind of the motto of this group is learn, serve, grow. So you learn about other people, make it about them and not about you. That once you learn about them, then you know how to serve them best. And in serving them, you both grow. And it goes back to what someone else said, if you put in twice as much as you take out, you'll get back. I really liked that. And karma, does come around like that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Julie.
I'll
also just,
I was gonna,
go ahead.
I was gonna tell you that, Rachel, you do a presentation that most don't. I trend similar to the way you do. When I'm asked to speak at groups, I don't put up a deck about what I do and ask people to buy my stuff. I talk about what I think, what I feel, what I believe. And because that's the greatest way for people to get to know you. And, it boils down to know, like, and trust. But if you don't know somebody, you have no opportunity to like them or trust them. And I can't remember the last time I put up a deck about here's what I did, but I really dug the way you did that. And just a side note, my wife just ordered something from ABC Kitchen in New York. It was this small tray, a little bit longer than a laptop. and a couple inches in height. I mean, just to give you size dimensions. And this box came the other day that looked like I had ordered a 35-inch television. And inside the box is this little tray, but the way they wrapped it and the care and the meticulous it was unbelievable. But a great brand, ABC, great brand.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just gonna stick in the chat as my LinkedIn to connect with me, so please feel free to do that. And then I'm also doing a 90-minute webinar that's free at the end of the month. You're welcome to sign up for that or pass it along to anybody that you know, and I'm happy to connect with all of you.
You have an
Wonderful,
email
yes.
address?
Yep,
Do
I
you have
can
an
type that
email?
in. Yep.
Yeah. Also, if everybody
I think
wants to
it's
put
easier.
their contact information in the chat, I'll encourage folks to download it at the end. I want to give Rajiv, you said he had to leave it at 11:30, a chance to do a quick intro. So I'll set it at 3 minutes and take it away. If everybody again would go on mute, so I'll expand the speaker view so that each of you gets a full screen in the recording. Rajiv, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I'll kind of keep it super brief. As you can see from my Zoom background, I'm the friendly neighborhood assassin. I can get rid of anything that you want gotten rid of from Google, social, and the internet, like bad press, bad reviews, any kind of story in the press that alleges the worst thing imaginable about you personally or your company or somebody in your company or somebody in your family. And what can be worse than that, right? Because it can do great damage. It can absolutely destroy everything that you work so hard to build. But don't worry, we're here to help you out. We can get all that garbage gone, all those lies, get those gone from Google, social, and the internet so that people can see the truth about you, rebuild trust, and they can continue to choose you and continue to advocate for you and give you referrals. And that's basically what we do. My ask is for introduction to millionaires, trusted advisors of millionaires and billionaires that do dumb shit, because those are the people that need my help the most, because they have the most to lose. And you'll be a superstar to them for telling them about me, because you're going to be restoring their peace of mind. Outside of that, my ask is I've been doing a lot of United Nations conferences. I'm planning for one that's going to be at the end of July. So if anyone wants to speak at the United Nations broadly on the subject of women's empowerment, innovation, AI, financial literacy, poverty alleviation, or adjacent topics, please send me a text and let's have a conversation. I'll leave it there, and I really have to jump to my next meeting, but thank you for this opportunity, Michael. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for the shout out, Rachel. That was amazing. And yeah, let's... I'd love to connect with all of you on LinkedIn, and I'll drop my Calendly link as well. Thanks again, Michael.
Thanks. Okay, Zev Gotkin, you're up. Zev, are you there?
He's away.
It looks stepped away. Okay, Rochelle, do you want to take it away?
Okay. Good afternoon. It's Rochelle from Dynamic Business Growth, and I always say that it's dynamic business growth and not schlep along business growth. You know, so many companies really struggle when it comes to speaking about their business. Very often they're boring, long-winded, they speak in jargon, and those are some of the compliments that I've heard, let me tell you. So when it comes to speaking about your business, I want to know, how do you pull a rabbit out of a hat? What is your high-level thinking? And when you do it, are you storytelling or boring telling? Did you just sound like everybody else in your industry? Did you tell me a story that we lose interest? And it takes very little to lose interest. So as you go forward, I want to know, what is that high level story that based on that story, I get to see your skills? My ask is, I'm looking to speak to two things. I want to family owned businesses and people in the trades. I'd like to think of, I'm looking to design a program for the fall, and it's going to be around people in the trade. So plumbers, electricians, HVAC, somebody that does flooring, anything under the construction umbrella. So if you would have either some entrepreneurs or business owners under that umbrella, I would love a conversation with them, pretty please. So that's my ask for today.
All right. Do you work with commercial contractors?
Yeah, that would be as well. That would be great as well.
Okay. Yeah, I have somebody who runs a family plumbing business.
Oh
Wonderful.
my God. Wait, that's music to my ears. I'm like heartbeat still.
All right.
I'm like salivating. You'll have to forgive me as I like salivate.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I will make sure I make that intro. All right. So I'll move Zev to the bottom. I'm not sure if he's back yet. I don't see him. But why don't we go to Julie?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm a guest. Julie Warnick. I just recently left a corporate position to go out on my own and start my own business in I was running a whole internal marketing department and team. But during my career path, what I've come to find the affinity most for is brand marketing, brand architecture, really setting the foundation of who you are, what's your value proposition, what is your story and your why, and helping companies define that, and then going into the visual brand identity and the communication strategy of telling that brand identity and working through experience management of that brand, both internally with employees and externally with customers in the community, to keep the brand on check, grow brand loyalty, and then manage reputation management to, again, keep uplifting that brand. And the second thing that I love to do is executive producing high-level corporate events, big production, managing talent, venue, videos, script, theme, dressing the venue, etc. So I'm looking for introductions to companies who could either use some brand work, or companies who produce events and could maybe use taking events to the next level is what I like to do, to take a company that's doing it okay, but to just adding that polish, thinking through the things that haven't been thought through to bring it to the next level. And Rochelle, I might have some, I was the last 8 years I was in the construction industry. And so I have, it was mostly heavy civil and horizontal construction, but they are family-owned businesses. I do know a fair amount of those. So, I mean, let's connect and we can talk later.
Yay, thank you.
What is a horizontal construction business?
Heavy highway, so roads, bridges, dams,
Okay.
infrastructure, and they do the groundwork prep for commercial vertical construction. So before a big vertical building comes in, you have to do all the earthwork, utilities, the grading, all that type of stuff.
Keep speaking as I sit here with like heart palpitations, heart palpitations.
Yep.
All right. Wonderful. Yeah, she's got a lot of Julie has a lot of connections in that space. You're out.
I'm in Utah. I'm in
Utah.
Intermountain West. So the company I used to work for was a $2.5 billion, 5,000 employees, 7 subsidiaries across 9 states in the Intermountain West. And a lot in sand and gravel, ready-mix concrete. One of the companies was building material supplies, lumber truss, etc., home building. So kind of a whole bunch of different areas.
All right.
Where out west are you?
Utah.
I'm in Utah, just south of Salt Lake City.
Wonderful. Okay. Burt Levy, another guest.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite, Michael. And I'm Burt Levy. I am the president and CEO of Revenue Mountain, located in Chicago. I'm a recovering media professional. I spent 22 years at the Chicago Sun-Times. I served as director of the entertainment division. I also oversaw big box retail, major accounts, local retail. Ended my career as publisher of one of their regional magazines. I moved in, excuse me. I moved into the tech space about a little over 10 years ago. And 3 years ago, I joined a 3 30-year-olds who started a technology consulting company specializing in data automation and integration. And I was basically vice president of business development. In short order, I brought in $900,000 in revenue between 24 and 28 months, all through my organic network. no drip campaigns, no unsolicited inbox mails and LinkedIn, just through my network. And what that did is it spurred other technology companies to ask me, can you do this for me? So Revenue Mountain was born. Most people start a business and they have to go find clients. I had the clients and then wrapped a business around it. So my business is we position ourselves as fractional chief sales officers specializing in the technology space. We will either sell your product as a conduit to your sales team or as a sole agent out in the marketplace if you need help with sales. We'll also come into your company and consult or take on fractional roles if necessary. You're hiring for a VP of sales and it's going to take you 4 months and you need that seat kept warm and you need your sales team coach, mentored, and led. We're happy to do that. I have 3 silos. Sales is one, data automation and integration is my second silo. And the third silo, we have an IT procurement division where we basically we have 150 technology companies pre-vetted, and we focus on matching technology companies with the businesses they serve. And the areas that we pretty much cover cybersecurity, tech support, telecommunications, software development, website development, CRM and ERP systems, staffing, operations, marketing, and so on. And that's really it. I mean, the only thing I really sell is open and honest and authentic conversation. And usually when you have that, you find out if there's a path to go down or if there's not. And that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. All right. Keith Reynolds. Keith, are you here? You're on mute, Keith.
He's on mute.
Yeah, I muted you.
I wasn't on mute. You muted me.
I muted you because people, whatever, go ahead.
That's a dirty trick.
Yeah.
Hey, so I've rejoined TRN and Michael and I, we go back to 96 or 97. We met through the American Marketing Association in New York City. I'm a kid from the Midwest who moved to New York at age 25 and was sent down to an agency to go help IBM. At work for an agency, they sent me down to a group of guys working in a brownstone figuring out how to beat Apple on college campuses. And I spent 7 years working for IBM, rolling out collegiate marketing on campuses in bookstores. And we learned that every campus was its own ecosystem. And after 15 years I left IBM after 7. I did PR. I wrote case studies and white papers and got involved with video marketing early on. And in 2010, I wrote a blog. I've been following HubSpot. I was really interested in HubSpot, thought inbound marketing was amazing as a concept. And because you're using thought leadership and ideas and help and teaching to attract customers. So my first blog, our company got asked to testify to Congress, and we took our CEO and head of sales down to Washington, D.C. and sold a unit to the one person in the government who could buy it. And that to me was an amazing experience. And I've tried to replicate it, and I've done it for companies like Vodafone and Kodak, working for an agency, became a HubSpot partner. And I wrote a book about it. And right before the pandemic, I put it out on Amazon. And then I lost my CMO, my cushy CMO job. And I was like, well, you wrote a book, it's on Amazon. And I've spent the last 3 years going out and trying to sell this methodology of how to connect the dots between putting something out on the internet and having somebody respond, and doing it with really high quality content and productions like webinars. Well, that's led me to podcasting. In the last 3 years, I've interviewed about 60 people, and I did it to promote my book and my methodology. And what I've realized in the last few months is that nobody gives a hoot about your methodology. There's no dopamine, right? It's you're telling somebody how you're going to get there. And even though you know you can do it and you've done it 1,000 times, it's really hard to sell. And I've also realized that in interviewing all these people and turning it into content, like my interview with Burt, who very graciously shared his time to help me promote what I'm doing. I interview people and I've built a set of AI models and cloud software and a workflow to turn an interview of you into thought leadership. And I'm talking lots and lots of ideas, lots and lots of writing, lots and lots of social media, and lots of video at a very reasonable price because I've been able to take the time out of it. So I have a new startup called Publio Studio. You can see my website's kind of in transition, but I think I have the beginnings of a startup that is scalable, where we invite people to come on and talk in this medium. Although I have a little bit more fancy software that does titling and logos and makes it look like you're on a TV show. But we bring you in and talk to you, not make you memorize things, not make you go on location, but to just talk in this medium. And then we turn that into thought leadership content and lots of it. And I'm looking for help and I'm looking to scale. I've done 2 startups. The one story about the testifying to Congress was a startup, and we raised $1.5 million and sold to a public company. So I've been to the dance before. I put everything I own into this, and I'm not going to fail. There is no failure. And I'm looking to build my network and connect with people who want to collaborate and help build a startup.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank
I love there's no dopamine. I love it. Yeah, I mean, when it comes right down to it, to impact people, right, you got to either trigger dopamine, adrenaline, or oxytocin. Right? They either got to be excited, afraid, or in love. All right. Zev Gotkin, take it away.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. So I founded ZV Media about 6 years ago, and I've been in content marketing, advertising, a little over a decade. We really do everything from full scale, from content to websites to SEO. But the main thing that I am doing that I usually highlight is the PPC and advertising, specifically for the hospitality industry, but not only. Whatever crosses our desk that's a good fit. I mean, we get people, that's our niche, but we get people outside that vertical all the time, and we still get them great results. But we're mainly focused on getting people 9 to 32 times ROAS through platforms like Meta, Google. Those are, of course, the 2 big dominant ones, but we're really platform agnostic, and we'll experiment sometimes getting people a lower cost per result on platforms like Bing or LinkedIn or even TikTok, Pinterest, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's really more about the client, the needs, their audience. We're actually seeing a lot of great results with something called Google Performance Max campaigns, but I won't go into that here. But that's basically what we do. I've been very fortunate to, I think, meet with almost everyone here, and really just love to make intros, meet more people. We provide revenue and help our clients hit their marketing goals, and that's pretty much it. And thank you.
Absolutely. I didn't miss anybody, right? Then I will go. I'll put the timer on for myself as well. So my name is Michael Bendit, as you all know. Besides running this networking group, I also, as my core business, I do sales for software development teams, sort of like what Burt does, but I focus exclusively on software development. And a lot of that, most of that is in the marketing world. So we work both directly with clients and we work with other agencies. I'll tell a story or give you an example. I just got off the phone before this call with someone who does marketing for a hair care or hair extension company. I could obviously use that. I don't know if you could do it from the sides up, but whatever. And they are looking for somebody to help with the technical side of their Shopify site. So they already had the site built, but that prior team is no longer available. So they reached out, I think it was via Slack, and they're looking only for 5 to 10 hours a month of support, changes, upgrades. And I have a team that's happy to do that kind of work, right? There are other teams that I have that only do bigger projects. So for me and for my clients, it's a matter of matching to find the right team, the right skill set at the right price, and, you know, within the right scale, right? You know, is this a small project, a big project? And we cover them all. It's a dozen teams that I represent, and the reason is because there's a really broad range of technology out there. I just recently signed a team, for example, that, you know, everybody says they can do AI, but a lot of that is connecting to existing AI models. So, for example, ChatGPT, very important. There'll be more and more APIs, so yeah, connections to ChatGPT and similar systems. But for those companies that want to build their own model with their own data, there's a tremendous amount of value to that if you have enough data and you want to make it meaningful, but you have to prep the data. Unless you actually make the data, prepare it to be ingested into an AI model, it's useless. And so this team has developed some tools and capabilities for helping do just that. Not just building the model, but preparing the data, testing to see if that data can in fact be built into a model that's of value to the client. So always looking to connect with other digital agencies that I could support with our technical teams, as well as anybody who's interested in, you know, technical help, software development, custom development, and development on a range of platforms. So I'm going to stop here and go back to the gallery mode. So we have about 7 minutes. Now would be a good time to download the chat. If you go to the chat and open up the window there, on the top there are these 3 dots. The first one is on the menu is Save Chat, and that will save it to your Zoom folder under Documents. I want to thank Rachel for coming and presenting and sharing her experience and enlightening us on with the model that she presented, the 3 eyes, which is great, and sharing some of her own background. Great stories. And I encourage everybody here also to come back, also invite others, right? If you want to come back as a guest a second time, that's great. Julie, if you want to think about joining, let me know. We can definitely get you on board. We've got the 3-month trial, after which it's $360 a year, so it's not a huge investment. Burt, same thing. Rachel, absolutely. Let me know if you have an interest. I will be posting this, as I always do, on YouTube. So I'll have the link in my next newsletter. Any other questions, comments, anything you want to share?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was really good.
Absolutely.
Really good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Keith, did you have something to?
I did. For Julie, I have met a guy here in Denver that used to work for Kiewit, and he started about a year or 2 ago a company that is doing clear cutting of rights of way along mountain passes. And he's got a pretty cool formula. He's hiring off the firefighters in California that jump into fires. They don't work all year long, and so he hires them to do clear cutting in the off season. And he's just a super leader. he's mentioned to me that he needs marketing, and I've been talking to him, but maybe it's something we could partner on.
Yeah, I would love that. Love
He's
an
the
introduction.
president of the Denver Athletic Club, so he's a pretty high profile guy.
Oh, nice.
Very cool. Sounds very horizontal to me, the construction anyway.
That's horizontal as you get.
Although they're going up mountains. But anyway, Rochelle.
I just want to say that I want to give you like a strong high five, because you managed to get a great group of people together that are both high level professional, understand networking, understand their craft, so you don't feel uncomfortable referring somebody. And I think that's really important, because there's been so many other networking groups that I've been aligned with that it was like, what the hell were they doing there? I mean, so it's really interesting. You have a way of vetting people that takes the concern out of the equation, and you're terrific. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Really appreciate the feedback. Also, here's an opportunity, download the from the chat, the content and the connection information, or the contact information, so that you can do a one-on-one with other members here and guests. 3 minutes is a start, but it really you don't get an opportunity to really get to know somebody. So take it to the next step, set up a one-on-one, and then you could start perhaps collaborating, referring business.
Well, it's a great group, and Rochelle, you taught me in our last one-to-one to embrace my geekiness. Another one that I've learned to embrace is show my photography, and stop being such a corporate geek. And that's been part of the journey, and I appreciate, Michael, you putting this group together and being part of it.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing. Thank you. Everybody here all of the members have the access to our coupon code to bring in guests. That's a give, right? That's something you could offer somebody that you meet with. Anybody who is in the marketing world who provides a marketing service. You could also bring in a potential customer. That's always nice. I think they might feel a little bit, attacked. Exactly. but we're nice people. We don't do that, but it's mostly for marketing services providers to collaborate. And it's just a great, as you pointed out, a great venue to meet others who have potentially complementary services. You should at least meet one person, that you can talk to and would like to connect with and learn about what they do more.
Michael, where is that access to that coupon code that you mentioned? I don't know that.
Yeah, it's the link is trustref.net. Trustref.net. I'm putting it in here. Trustref.net/guest is the link, right? And then the coupon code is TRN-free-pass.
Thank you.
And you probably used that yourself to get in.
That's probably how I got in the first time, because when we had our one-on-one, you're like, how's this already on your calendar? And I go, I don't know. Someone invited me.
Well, good. I'm glad it is. All right. So feel free to invite others, bring other people in. One last comment from Rochelle?
No. I was just going to say.
You were just waving goodbye. Okay.
Rochelle,
Thank you
I'll
all.
reach out. I got your message.
Have a wonderful Tuesday, rest of the day, and we'll be meeting again in 14 days on the, 25th.
Take care,
5
everyone.
p.m. Take care.
Have a great day, everybody.
You too.